WTF Nation Radio
is in the house.
What is this Facebook Live? I've never heard of this shit.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
At the bottom of the ocean, I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm gonna stay down, down. I'm just stuck here in a dream. At the bottom of the ocean, I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm gonna stay down, down. I'm just stuck here in a dream.
Get to see
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy, had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar, a straight-up omelet bar. And now look, my former interns tossing me down a bottomless freaking pit. You know, come to think of it, my whole life has been a series of what-the-f moments. That was my out.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
If that's really a thing, and I get authorized to do it once, it's pretty much gonna be me sitting there talking shit, like, constantly.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
I looked my woman in the eye sockets. I told her straight out. I just said it, man. I said it. I said.
Let's roll.
January 2 on the Monday edition, U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio, and also with my other host, Flyesh. Whoop, man, ready to rock it.
I tell you what, I've got my
and so I got some cheeky nuggies, and now we're good to go. And I'm drinking some. I rarely don't drink any McDonald's or drink any junk food like that, but I'm having some Coke with ice, and then I'll probably mix a drink after a break or something like that. So, anyways, how you been, man?
Well, besides all the chaos, and we'll get to that, it's been pretty good. Not a bad start to 2021. Planning a nice little trip with my wife to somewhere not tropical, but somewhere that we at least get away from the kids for a couple of days. And,
right.
It's sports is on. I'm happy with that, and I'm ready for baseball. And Lord, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this presidency to just switch over so we can just handle one lunacy instead of two at the moment.
Oh. You mean there was supposed to have been some lunacy being transferred over of excellence?
Supposedly
some lunacy?
Some lunacy at the nation's capital.
I
don't know why. All I know is, hey, if you don't know, the college football playoff national championships between Ohio State and Alabama just kicked off not too long ago. I'm kind of excited about that, even though Ohio State only played 7 games. But whatever, nothing negative against Ohio State only having to play 7 games and getting to the national championship. But nothing at all.
Dude, what about football? Have you seen some football? I mean, some football of excellence with some football? Man, it's been surprising. I'm going to go ahead and we could just cover up sports because on tonight's episode of the Monday edition, we're going to be doing something different tonight.
Changing it up.
We're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to be just kind of talking about sports, and then we're going to let Flash rant because you guys got to hear what I said last week about what happened. And then our friend Nick Pomachano from Ranger Up is also going to be on air. We're going to rebroadcast one of his episodes of the Bad News Network, which is going to be towards the end of the show.
Woo-hoo.
Whoop. Pretty pumped up, man, because everyone's got, I got it out of my system. There's more, after I've calmed down and I'm able to think some things through and look at some things logically and rationally with a different and objective lens and stuff like that. I just figured we'd go ahead and, I went my piece. And now Flash. Man, you talk a lot too, bro. So you're gonna go.
This is about to be the Flash show today.
Oh my God!
Well,
so go ahead.
Let's jump right into it. So, if you in basketball, apparently the protocols are having a little bit of an issue, which is they had some issues with their bubble last year. Granted, the season only ended not too long ago, anyways. But they are holding off 2 games currently for the NBA just to make sure. Apparently, a couple people have caught COVID, which is not great, especially in a close contact sport like that. Nothing crazy happening in baseball. A couple of big free agents, a couple of trades, a couple of free agencies kind of holding out, but the winter meetings haven't happened yet, so there's time, and we'll get more into that when that comes up. NHL hockey, I believe, started yesterday or Saturday. Very excited about that. Go Rangers. More importantly, let's get into football. It is the postseason, the first week of postseason play. One thing to note, the Eagles have fired Doug Peterson, their head coach. Remember, this is the guy who got them a Super Bowl ring, but then unfortunately over the last 3 years since, 9-7, now 4-11, and then after the losing against Washington, the Washington football team, also known as the dodging the play, throwing the game, shedding points, something like that. There's people that have said that taking out Jalen Hurts, which was the quarterback, and they were playing really well against he's playing really well against Washington. Everything was clicking. Pulling him out in the third quarter or something to put in this nothing 4th string quarterback who couldn't throw the football if nobody was on the field and it was just him and one other person. He would still get intercepted somehow. A lot of people feeling that Doug Peters threw the game in order to make sure that the New York Giants didn't get into the playoffs, because if the Washington football team would have lost, since the New York Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants would have gotten to the playoffs. Since the Eagles lost, the Washington football team got into the playoffs. Didn't matter. They got themselves whooped, and we're going to jump right into that. In our first NFC wildcard playoffs, Tom Brady, the old man himself, the GOAT, the GOAT.
Why you gotta say he's the GOAT? I don't think he's the GOAT. But go ahead, continue.
I still think he's the GOAT.
Well, he's got
381. He threw 381 yards. He got the Tampa Bay team, who couldn't buy their way into the playoffs over the last couple of years, into the playoffs.
Which is why I think. Which is why. You're talking about the buy. You're talking about when they were in the playoffs against the Raiders, and it seemed like the Raiders just weren't really playing at all, because, and this was before they had Tom Brady. So you think that everyone was having some controversy with that, thinking that the Raiders kind of threw the game on it, or to get people paid off and move players. Do you subscribe to that such conspiratorial freaking comments about the Raiders and the? Oh, I'm sorry, that's past. I'm sorry. I
know you. There's no love lost between you and the Raiders.
I mean, but anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I like to think that same thing is I like to think Doug Peterson didn't put in the 4th-string quarterback to throw the game, so the New York Giants couldn't get in. Is the same way I like to think the Raiders didn't do that on purpose, but as we've seen from the World Series back in the 30s or something, and stuff before, cheating happens. But old man Brady.
But we can still talk about. Well, then we could talk about the Patriots cheating, right?
Man, let's see. How many gates do they have?
Yeah.
Anyways. I hate that we use Watergate and we use Gate for it.
Oh, I know. I hate it too.
Email Gate, fucking Russia Gate. Come on now. Spygate, Spygate 2.
Of excellence. Of excellence.
Well, I mean, it was so Tampa Bay went into Washington, which is kind of weird because Washington had a shit record. I mean, they didn't even break 500, but because they were division champions and Tampa Bay was coming in on the wild card, Tampa Bay went and faced them, which wasn't much. I mean, it was a better game than you thought. Tom Brady throwing 381 yards, Leonard Fournette running for 93, and Mike Evans, who's kind of had a spotty for wide receiver for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kind of had a spotty season this year between a couple of calf and hamstring injuries. Some great games, but catching for 119 yards, and I think he pulled in 2 or 3 touchdowns. Long story short, Tampa Bay 31, Washington 23. It was more of a game than I was expecting, but Washington lost like I expected. Also on Saturday, a couple of games. So I didn't watch the Washington game, so I'm going to skip over that. So there was some great matchups. Sometimes in the playoffs, there's some matchups you're like, ugh. And that matchup for me was Tampa versus Washington.
Right.
It's kind of I was like, whatever. It was like the 8:00 game too, and I was like, I don't care. But there was a lot of great matchups. Colts went to Buffalo. First time, Buffalo has had they haven't won a playoff game in 23 years. It was the third longest playoff drought in history. And tell you what, this was an awesome game. Phil Rivers is him and Ben Roethlisberger are the last ones of that class of quarterbacks that came in, and Phil Rivers came with Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, and he's still throwing bombs. They had a great game, but I tell you what, Josh Allen, still a young quarterback, has good command of that football team and was able to, when the game was on the line, was able to get it done. Now, a lot of people are blaming, the head coach on not kicking the field goal in the end of the second quarter. Instead of they went for it, they threw kind of a fade pass into the left side of the end zone, just hit the wide receiver's hands as he was diving, but it would have been a hard catch even if he would have got his hands on the ball. So he missed it, and that's 3 points they gave up right there. Because it ended up being Buffalo 27, Indianapolis 24. So great. Josh Allen throwing 324 yards. He was just masterful. Stephon Diggs catching 128 yards. It kind of went. It went down to the wire. There was an almost interception by Buffalo, and then the Colts, unfortunately they threw a Hail Mary, and it only got to the 5-yard line, and then they knocked it out. and that ended the game. So Buffalo won 27-24.
Dude,
I'm very happy.
Let's talk
breaking a streak.
Let's talk about the Saints. And let's talk about the game yesterday. Let's just jump to that game yesterday. Did you see the game yesterday? Did you see that one?
So for the first time for you sports fans, we had football on Nickelodeon. I thought I was having an aneurysm when I first saw it because SpongeBob was dancing on my screen as well as seeing like Mike Trubisky playing, and I got really confused. That and also, so they had like a different, they can't have the same people, but they had like a younger commentary crew, and they had someone who I'm assuming is Nickelodeon famous, and she does TikToks and stuff like that on there, and it was kind of weird. It was also kind of weird the way they were, I'm an adult, so I'm expecting like adult, you don't have to explain holding to me, but I liked what they were doing. If I kind of took at first I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I realized, oh, this is a whole Nickelodeon thing. So it only took them a quarter before somebody cussed on Nickelodeon, but hey, whatever. But it was a good game if you're a Saints fan. Chicago couldn't get nothing going, even though Mike Trubisky won the Nickelodeon MVP award that was voted on, which is the stupidest thing ever. They couldn't muster more than 9 points. New Orleans playing pretty well. Drew Brees 265 yards. Alvin Kamara rushing for 99. He caught like another 50 or 60 yards. And Deontay Harris is your receiving leader with 83 yards. I mean, they had like young Sheldon. Like if there was a penalty, he would pop up in the screen and be like, defensive holding. Defensive interference. I'm like, kid, shut up. But then I'm like, this isn't for me. We're trying to get kids to like football. Okay, so
exactly. I was waiting to see.
Or maybe your wife or girlfriend who has no idea what's going on. Here's a Nickelodeon version for you.
Exactly.
If you're 40 years old and you're dating a 20-something-year-old, the Nickelodeon football is how you connect the dots for them. And they called the end zone the slime zone. And I got really confused of what the hell they were talking about. They're about 5 yards from the slime zone. I went, what the fuck? And I'm looking like, and fucking SpongeBob is dancing on screen. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I literally thought I had died, and this was my hell.
Hey, Flash, you sound like you're old. You sound like a freaking boomer.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer.
They're like, okay, hashtag, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like I get it. As a football-loving person, I was not expecting that. But when I took myself back and realized kind of what they were going for, I think it was really well done. All the graphics worked. Having young Sheldon kind of explain some of the stuff was good. My son kind of understand, some of the different penalties and stuff like that.
That was pretty cool.
Commentators did a little bit more to break down. When they were talking about going through the progressions, they actually went through and went like, he looked here, then here, then here, and then decided to throw it to him. I was like, oh, look at that.
But Flash, I think that would be the most important thing for a lot of individuals to get back into sports again, to get into sports. If they did a couple of games like that, to have it, to have it, I don't know, more of a, like you said, more of a break it down Barney style, or break it down like Barney. Am I going to say something wrong if I say it makes Barney and Nickelodeon? But
it's the same, man. When I took myself out of being just kind of an ass, wow,
that's a lot. I'm just kidding.
I know. I was like, oh, okay, it was really well done. I mean, it's geared to kids. Like I said, the commentators did even their like guest commentator person did a pretty good job and would come up with fun facts. And I'm pretty sure some producers like, just say this. But it was a fun game to watch. Another fun game to watch was the Los Angeles Rams going to Seattle to face the Seattle Seahawks. Man, I'll tell you what, that was quite the game. That was my favorite game of Saturday. Even in the Buffalo-Indianapolis game, I was really looking to see what happens with Los Angeles. They had lost some players due to injuries, but Russell Wilson throwing for 134 yards, DK Metcalf catching for 96, but unfortunately the Rams just had a better defense, and they were able to keep Russell Wilson pretty contained. He got a couple of runs in, but they weren't able to do the stuff he's able to do with some play action stuff. So the Rams were able to win 30-20. Moving on to Sunday, now we already talked about the mid game, which was Chicago, New Orleans. Again, there were some really great games this weekend. Baltimore Ravens going to Tennessee. I thought this was going to be a juggernaut game. Usually I'm pretty solid. Like if you ask me who's going to win, I'm going to tell you who and why. But besides the Tampa Bay Washington game, I was like, I don't know. I was pretty sure Chicago would lose to New Orleans. But the Baltimore Tennessee game was great. Lamar Jackson, we had a conversation, I think it was like 2 months ago, where you asked if I thought he was like the real deal or if he was being hyped up.
Yeah. I did ask that.
This was one of those games that makes me go, real deal. Not only did he throw, he only threw for 179 yards, but he had Lamar Jackson was your passing leader. He was your rushing leader. Dear God, if he was quick enough to run down the field, he'd probably be your catching leader. Like, he ran for 136 yards. He got a couple of touchdowns with his feet alone. And with or at least one touchdown with his feet alone. With that Tennessee defense playing so damn tough, they were able to make some moves. And Lamar Jackson, kind of like Josh Allen, was better at being a field general than he was last year when they got to the playoffs and they got bounced out. He was a lot better in commanding the guys on the team. He was a lot better at making changes at the line of scrimmage, and was I'm all for Michael Vick. The problem I had with Michael Vick was he was a run first quarterback.
The dog thing.
Besides that, I'm talking just football.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, football. Go ahead.
We're staying in football, but yes, I had an issue with fighting dogs.
So you don't have an issue with OJ either, then? Just kidding.
Hey, look, he was a good football player. Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick was a run first, then pass quarterback. He was always looking for where can I run, and then would throw the ball. And you could always see that because he'd almost and then he would step back. And that's why he had a good arm, but he wasn't the most accurate quarterback because he's usually just flinging it instead of Lamar Jackson is a throw first quarterback, but is not afraid to go check, done, run. And when he makes those runs, he doesn't go 3 yards and goes, oh my God, there's someone within 10 yards. I'm going to slide. He goes, fuck you. And either at the last second or takes the hit and goes down and gets those extra yards. There's a couple of third down conversions that were on Lamar Jackson's feet that were masterful. I think this kid's the real deal. I think Josh Allen's the real deal. Both of them played very well. So much so that in a tight game, but Baltimore 20, Tennessee 13, which is sad because I thought Tennessee was going to do good. It sucks that they drew Baltimore first, but there could only be one Highlander, and it's not the Tennessee Titans. But I expect the Tennessee Titans to be back in the playoffs next year. I'm assuming they're going to make some changes in the roster. They got kind of beat up near the end of the season. That tends to happen. But, man, if that running back, if King Henry makes another appearance and just starts running all over people, I don't think they're going to have an issue. And then the last game, the shocker, Cleveland Browns at Pittsburgh versus the Steelers. The Cleveland Browns have gotten their ass trounced by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't even know how many times. I mean, I used to just I'm going to skip this game because I don't want to watch the Cleveland Browns just get whooped. Well, times have changed. It is 2021, and little brother Cleveland Browns came to play. Baker Mayfield is another one of those quarterbacks. And see, I'm more sold on Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson than Baker Mayfield. And I still am even after this game. But I will say Baker Mayfield has definitely earned that he's gonna be the franchise quarterback. He wasn't the Johnny Manziel who was there and then just sucked away and gone. Baker Mayfield's had some bad games, but he's also over the last 2 years have gotten a lot better commanding on the field and making smarter plays. But don't get this. So I mean, they were down
Pookie said that Big Ben needs to retire. Is that true? What do you think about that statement?
I think Phil Rivers needs to retire. I mean, we'll see. I don't know because Ben Roethlisberger threw 501 yards. 500 yards because they're even though they kind of went with the running game in the first half with Connor, they were down 23-0 in the first quarter. And I'm like, don't be a Falcons. If you're a Falcons fan, you're gonna be like, don't think anything. But Cleveland was able to hold on. There was a different momentum in the second quarter and definitely in the third quarter. Pittsburgh making some moves. Ben Roethlisberger they end up kind of getting close within 11, 12 points. But then they started changing touchdown for touchdown. Ben Roethlisberger throwing 501 yards. Nick Chubb for former Georgia Bulldog running for 76 yards, and Juju Smith-Schuster for a $157, was killing it. Ben Roethlisberger was calling his number. I think he got at least one touchdown too.
Right.
But Cleveland Browns somehow were able to make enough moves, and they were the Browns also, they kind of played a little funny because it is Pittsburgh, and they're like, we know we're going to give up short runs and we're going to give up short passes in the flat, but we're not going to give up the big plays. They gave up one big play. It was like a 30-yarder that I think got him a touchdown or something.
Right.
And that's going to happen. You're never going to be perfect, not against Ben Roethlisberger. But that prevent defense kept, they kind of played in like a nickel package where there's just one extra defensive back there. And man, I tell you what, it proves in the pudding. Cleveland 48, Pittsburgh 37. And it was all sealed when Ben Roethlisberger practically, the interception looked like the ball was just thrown to the defender.
Right.
Right. And whether it was miscue from the wide receiver or whatever, DB was right there, bam, interception, and that was it. Because they were trying to, they were at least trying to go punch, but they weren't able to. And Baker Mayfield with the Cleveland Browns, have made it past the first round of the playoffs as well as the Buffalo Bills. What is happening today?
I know, and what's funny is that means that so that means for the AFC Championship then right now, it's going to be between Kansas City and the Browns. I'm going to be honest, even though as a like you said, no love lost between the Raiders and myself. Any team that is a rivalry with the Raiders, Kansas City, I'm just going to have to say, I'm not rooting for Kansas City, but I know they're going to destroy the Browns. I think
they're the odds-on favorite. Right now, what we're looking at is on Saturday, we have the Los Angeles Rams that are going to Green Bay to meet the Packers. That's on Saturday at 4:35 on Fox. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to go to the New Orleans Saints at 6:40 on Fox as well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers New Orleans is on Sunday at 6:40. And then the AFC, Baltimore Ravens going to Buffalo. It's going to be a cold day for those birds because they're looking like snow this weekend. That'll be Saturday at 8:15 on NBC, and then the Cleveland Browns Saturday on 8:15 on NBC, and the Cleveland Browns are going to Kansas City on Sunday at 3:05 on CBS to face the Chiefs. You want to do some predictions?
Yeah, I was about to say that was my predictive on that bracket like I said, I'm going to pick Kansas City.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Baltimore.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, out of those two, and I think it's gonna be a Kansas City Baltimore AFC Championship, and then the rate between the Rams and Green Bay, I'm gonna have to go with Go Pack Go. It's just I don't know. I just don't see the Rams, picking it up on the defense very well. I think Green Bay is gonna freaking. They're gonna decimate them on that. There's gonna be some. It's gonna be a pretty high scoring game. I'm guessing on Green Bay, and then New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I'm sorry, the Tampa Bay is just gonna the same thing. That's gonna be so. I think it's gonna be Green Bay and Tampa Bay, and then between both of those two, I think Tampa's gonna get the championship between them and Green Bay, and then I'm gonna think the Chiefs. So I think it's gonna be the Chiefs. And I think it's going to be Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl. That's just me.
So I'm looking at this, and I wouldn't change too much from what you're saying. I do think that the Los Angeles Rams, I believe Goff is out. They've had a bunch of injuries over the last weekend. Green Bay Packers are looking good, even with Aaron Rodgers getting kind of old and up there. Man, I still remember the first game he played when he came in for Brett Favre, when Brett Favre got hurt against the Dallas Cowboys on like the first Thursday night game they had on the NFL channel. That was fucking a long time ago. I do think that Green Bay is going to beat the Los Angeles Rams for the same reason. I think the Los Angeles defense is just not going to be able to keep up. They've had too many injuries, and I don't think they can go point for point against Aaron Rodgers. I think that there's still some magic with Drew Brees.
Okay.
Tom Brady hasn't had even though his list of people teams he's beaten in the playoffs is extensive and long, and I think one of the longest. I do think that New Orleans has a better team because Mike Evans did leave the game kind of early in the last in the Tampa Bay's last game, and I think that they're not going to be able to fire on all cylinders unless he's good to go. And a team without, Tampa Bay without Mike Evans still has lots of weapons, but Mike Evans is that big man. He's the guy who draws two defenders where you can throw into the slot and have somebody open. So, I mean, I think that Drew Brees, I think I'm going to call it and say Green Bay is going to beat the Rams. New Orleans is going to beat Tampa Bay. And I'm going to say Green Bay is going to end up going into be the NFC champion, which, could be Aaron Rodgers' swan song because I think he's kind of getting tired of football. But that's just me. I haven't heard anything.
I think so too. I get a feeling. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if after the season, Aaron Rodgers decided to hang it up. And I also wouldn't be surprised if Ben Roethlisberger or Phil Rivers decide to hang it up as well. And then at the AFC, I'm a little bit different. I'm going to say go Buffalo, go, because I just want to see Josh. I just want to see the Bills, go farther. Like they're my Cinderella team. They're even though they're like the number 2 seed, they're still my Cinderella team because it's the fucking Bills. So I think that's going to be a tight game. Like I don't think that's going to be. You got two different styles of quarterback. You got teams that do. Different things really well. I think it's going to mash up whose defense can adjust the best, and I do think that the Bills have a better front line, and I do think they can do better in containment. And if you can keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, then you only have to deal with his arms instead of his arms and his legs. So, because you walk around with no legs out there. So I do think that's going to be the Bills, and then I agree. I think this is as far as the Cleveland Browns go. Awesome. I'm so proud of the Browns. I think it's awesome. Like, I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I'm so happy. And I will root for the Browns to beat Kansas City, but Kansas City is going to whoop their shit. Like, I'm just Kansas City. Okay, I will say,
pay me my money.
I will say it's going to be a good game, man. That actually is a game that I would actually.
I don't know. I feel like Patrick Mahomes is just going to come up there and just like drop bombs on everybody. I do think it's going to be a closer. I do think that game's going to be closer than Rams and Packers, but I don't think it's going to be as close as I feel the Ravens and Bills will be. But I do think Kansas City's going to beat the Browns, and then you're going to have Buffalo and Chiefs. And then I'm kind of torn because, again, I want the Bills, but I do think it'll end up being Green Bay versus the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So we'll see. That's a lot to unpack.
I'm saying, it is, man. Honestly, I think it'll be curious to see how it's going to roll out.
I'm just excited.
Yeah.
This is a good playoff
This
setup.
is a good.
There's a lot of teams that aren't.
This is a good
in there.
bracket. This is a good bracket. I like it.
I mean, Ravens, haven't been able to get past the first round a hot second, so that was fun. Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Browns. I love, like, same thing with baseball. I love it when new teams, even though they talk the most shit, like Tampa Bay's like, look at us, Yankees, look at us. Like, shut up, dude. Like, can you just be happy you're there without being a douchebag?
No.
I know. It's okay. We're gonna throw out their head all season. It's fine by me. The Cleveland Browns and hopefully we can finally have that fucking that shame tour for the fucking Astros instead of them playing the little no one's in the stands and no one can fuck with us.
Ooh, yeah.
They think we forgot. We didn't forget shit.
Damn, dude.
Astros are about to get themselves lit up.
How do we go from that to we went from football to baseball like in a hot 30 seconds? What the fuck was that all about? Oh man.
I'm always a baseball fan at heart. So all I know is Super Bowl means we're not far from pitchers and catchers reporting in early March.
No, you're right.
I count my years by sport when sports starts and ends.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you count seasons and stuff like that.
Because I know when like the hard part of baseball is like for everybody is the July the end of June to like early August is like the longest stretch because it's like holy crap it's a long season. It doesn't get good to August where everyone's like, the divisions are starting to play out and everyone's like they're behind by this many games, so it's down to the wire. And then September super heavy, and then the beginning of the season, April and May, it's like the season's going. Who's gonna get blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But once you get past that, it's like that June July. It's like whew, we got to get through that. And I know come June like April June July we've got playoffs. Between like NHL and basketball and stuff like that.
I mean, real quick, since you brought up baseball, man, we want to give a shout out and rest in peace to Tommy Lasorda, man.
Yeah,
dude, he's a legend. I met him when I was a kid, and even he looked the same age back then as he did like recent pictures. So I always thought of him as an old man. So when I was a kid, I got to meet him just like chance, and it was just like Tommy Lasorda. And he was a great Dodgers manager. He was the manager's manager, and I think he died at 93, and he's just a legend, man. It's just a fucking legend. Died of a sudden cardiopulmonary arrest at his home, so he had either a heart failure or a heart attack or something like that. But yeah, it's just, I think
I'll still remember that video of him beating up the Phillies Fanatic.
Yes.
For those who don't know, Phillies Fanatic is their very legendary mascot for the Phillies, and known for all kinds of antics or whatnot. So it will be sad. And I actually I've heard from a couple of friends out there in Philly that work for the organization that there's going to be some kind of Philly Fanatic tribute for him, considering they go, the character in him went way back for a lot of these things. And man, am I getting porn ads on ESPN?
Whoa! What you doing, Flash? What you? Whoa, this is a mature content show, but we ain't doing that. We ain't. This is only friends
in Hollywood.
Yeah, only. What's he doing? Whoa! Easy now.
Why is it on ESPN?
Whoa, man! We got family listening. I mean, they're used to
family.
We got family listening. Even though we're cussing up a storm.
I'm as surprised as you are. If this was a different computer, I might click on it. You do say what?
So, talking about Tommy Lasorda, his death came less than 3 months after they beat the Tampa Bay Rays for their first World Series in like 32 years. And he even said that, he wanted it. He's like, before I die, I just want to get one more. And it was just kind of like, dude, it was, I don't know, maybe he was predicting it, or maybe he was foretelling something, but he just the way he spoke, you just knew that this made that made his fucking day. You know what I mean? That was his. I mean, I don't like Tampa Bay Rays anyway, so no big deal. The Hall of Famer, shit, twice National League Manager of the Year. 1997 inducted into the Hall of Fame, and still everyone thought I was going to retire after that, but he stayed strong. He stayed, hey, whatever. I'm still managing. It's just like, dude, it's awesome, man.
Holy crap!
What's up?
Oh, I'm looking at CNN and more. So since we're going to be cutting the show our part a little short, do you just want to roll right through it?
You want to roll through the break? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
For this next part.
Okay, yeah, because I know. Okay, guys. We're
gonna change it up a little.
I'm gonna sit back and let Flash. I got the rant music ready. So go ahead, brother. So go ahead. You said you wanted to talk about the Twitter ban, and you said you wanted to talk about the riots and crisis event due to the certification of our voting last week.
There's so much to unpack.
Go for it.
Where should I start first?
Just go, man. It's all you, baby. It's all you.
Okay. First off, let's since you mentioned it, let's talk about how every platform has banned Donald Trump. I don't know if that's a good move or not. Sometimes, I've said on the show, I'm like, man, I know he'd be a lot more popular if somebody would take away his fucking Twitter. Well, someone has actually taken away his fucking Twitter and Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and Spotify, like he's dropping beats on there or something. And Shopify, which I've never heard of before, and like LinkedIn and everything, like every platform, Donald Trump, the president, does not have a voice on. Which, if you think about the part he played in the siege on the Capitol, yes, I said the siege on the fucking Capitol. We'll get to that for you waterheads out there who want to fight me on it.
Okay, so real quick then, hang on. Let me play this then.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show.
Thanks, Cos. There you go. Shots. Okay. So thanks, Cos. I appreciate it, man. I just wanted to make sure we're good to go. Yes, you did walk away from sports again. Now go back to Flash. Go ahead. Go, Flash. I'm sorry.
Man. And see, I don't know how many people are going to agree with me or disagree with me within the WTF and U.S. Army WTF Moments family. But hey, I'm Flash and I do what I do. So, I call it the fucking siege on the Capitol, and we're going to get to that. Angela Merkel, who is the chancellor for Germany, even came out as a weird voice and said that this is problematic. And I do think it's problematic because it is.
Hang on. Did you say Germany?
Yeah, I know. I said Germany censoring people. Like I'm sitting there like
Germany's the biggest censor of.
Germany's going to come up a little bit
Go
more in this fucking rant. Just so hold on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hold on to your brown shirts for a bit. So the chancellor for Germany came out and said it's problematic, and I agree with her that it is problematic. While when they suspended his account during the siege on the Capitol, I understood that because I do feel. While he wasn't outright saying storm them and cut their heads off, he was teetering on that verbiage in a nice way. Even his hey go away message was kind of like suspect and shit. So I do feel like suspending him at that for a day or whatnot, like till things kind of calm down, was a good idea. But then the outright ban makes me wonder if big outlets like Twitter, like Facebook, they're all big outlets, but they all do different things. But right. Especially like Facebook and Twitter, where you get more, you're doing a little more messaging than just posting a picture of you at the beach on Instagram or Snapchat and stuff. I do wonder if it is problematic that you're outright banning a world leader. So much so that the opposition leader over in Russia is worried that this will set a precedent that Putin himself will pressure tech conglomerates like Twitter and like Facebook and them to ban opposition leaders from being on the platform where they can speak. Because it's one thing to stop them from talking in the red square, or stop them from doing this. It's another thing when somebody can be in a different country and tweet to the people they're trying to tweet to and message to the people they're trying to message to. So it does bring up how what leaders could use this against political rivals. It's already being used against Donald Trump, but is it kind of like, should it be used? It's 50-50. Like, honestly, if you in any given day, I'm kind of like yes, and then I'm like no. Like it's hard to be very definite on it. But I do think that in the long term, I think it's going to hurt more people than not, because it does go, is government going to start taking a hand on this? Because now what happens if they decide to just like ban Joe Biden? I mean, they have it in their user agreement that they can just fucking ban you for whatever, and you can't do shit about it. That's their right. It's a private company. It's a private program, private servers. It's not publicly owned. They could do what they should. So people are like, First Amendment rights. First Amendment rights says you can say whatever you want, but as a private owner of a company, I can go, no, I'm going to turn you off, because you don't have First Amendment rights on that kind of thing. You could say whatever you want and not be like fucking like no one can shoot you for talking. But hey, if they honestly could cut all the conservatives or all the liberals off and no one can say shit. That's the kind of that's the thing with private organizations. Is it bad for business to do that? I mean, yes, but they can. I had an argument with a friend of mine when we moved to California, and I was walking the sidewalk and he was walking the road. I said, dude, man, get on the sidewalk. You're going to get hit by a car. And he's like, no, they can't. They're not allowed to hit me. I was like, yeah, but doesn't mean they can't hit you. Well, they can't hit me. I said, no, they can hit you. They're not supposed to hit you, but they can hit you. A car can just go straight and say, fuck it, and run into you. I mean, considering, I'm white, he's black, and we're in an all Hispanic neighborhood in Torrance, California, right, is a possibility.
You know what Gary says, that social media just opened themselves up to answer why they don't ban others. So if like they're banning, if they're banning Donald Trump for what they say is incitement and all this other shit, and this is what they're telling it for, so why aren't they banning the leader of Iran or North Korea, or you know what I mean, or China?
I mean, they bounced Alex. I think Alex Smith, Alex Jones.
Alex Jones
was just the fucking start of. Now we're banning the people we perceive as loudmouths, but what happens when other people start getting banned? Now I'm not going for like a 1984 fucking feel to it, but everything's a slippery slope. When you no one thinks it's a slippery slope until they start fucking falling down it. So you might be walking the edge. Oh, this ain't bad, until all of a sudden all these other who knows. Other people could be like, Facebook, I think, has even said that they're gonna take down all the content that says "Stop the Steal." So it's like now is it dangerous to say "Stop the Steal" and all that stuff? Maybe, but then you're also taking out that whole conversation altogether.
Who is the arbiter of what says? Here's my thing. Who's the arbiter on what we consider? Because it's something that I don't agree with you, Flash, and I don't agree with you on something. I am not going to sit there and call you misogynist, transphobic, Islamophobic, all this other crap. I'm not going to call you that. I'm just going to say you just have a different opinion. Like, if you have a specific way you sit your seat when you're driving, and the reason why I'm saying it like this is because you can't even talk about anything anymore without somebody getting the ass and getting deplatformed. Right now, as we speak, Twitter, if you are on Twitter, you might have noticed a large, I don't know, like a dump of followers due to the fact that it's just some of them are bots or some of the algorithms that Twitter's placing on there. But to who's that? Like if I drive my vehicle with my seat sitting a certain way, and then you like you're driving your vehicle a seat a certain way, and me and you go back and forth, is it because are we taking it too far when it comes to shit like that? I mean, these are rhetorical questions, of course.
Yeah.
But are we taking it too far on what exactly now? Now everything's got to be liked. It has to be liked. It has to be done like that because
it has to be PC or whatever. And
well, see, that's not even PC. It's not even PC though. To me, it's like control of thought. You know, I can't sit there and look and say, Ice, what do you eat? What do you drink? Coffee? What's your preferred coffee? People who know me really well know my specific nuances of what I drink, eat, whatever. And if all of a sudden they say, here, you need to drink this type of coffee, and I'm like, I don't want to drink this coffee. Why? Well, because I don't want to drink that coffee. You need to drink this coffee because this coffee is better for you. And then no, it's not. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to draw parallels here to something that's different. Now I'm not talking about what happened at the Capitol. I'm just talking about just in mind with what is considered platformed or deplatformed and all that. I think it's one of those things to where if government power is starting to use this, I'm kind of looking at this thing as like utilities, like Verizon. When I use my phone, I can say whatever I want. I can text anybody I want. I can shoot the shit. I can talk about whatever topic. Me and you talking on the phone, Flash, when we're talking on the phone, you're saying, hey, blah, 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 blah. Hey, how you feeling? Or what's going on? We have, because me and you are friends, off the mic. Anything we talk about, if Verizon said, I don't like what Flash and Ice are talking about, I'm gonna cut them off. That's not fair. That's not right. You know what I mean? So what's the purpose if we're now using social media as a point of almost utility?
As a weapon.
Yeah, as utilities too. I mean, it's just when you kind of look. And of course, I'm gonna have all the lawyers flying at me going, "You don't know what you're talking about," and all the Twittersphere, idiots that like to go and law-splain me just for me making an observation. You make one comment on Twitter and you get dogpiled because you merely are making an observation, and it doesn't matter if you are the expert or not. You get somebody that's dogpiling about it because they're probably more. I mean, there's a few people on there that I know like legit are certified and qualified to kind of like no and correct me. I don't get butthurt. I mean, I don't block nobody. I mean, somebody flies off the handle on me and I'm like that. It's the ones that don't like the discussion and the conversation are the ones that do the blocking. Are the ones that say, I'm gonna report you. I'm gonna report you. You know what I mean? Are you? I mean, can you see that with what they're doing with him?
My thing is with Trump. How are you going to ban Trump for inciting violence and stuff like that? Granted, I do feel he was on that borderline. It's hard for me to say yes, but it was fucking close. When Iran, the Ayatollah for Iran threatens us constantly, and we don't. So what is the level of what we're going to ban and not ban on Twitter? Like Jack Dorsey, what's the plan there? Because you got all kinds of crazy people that are on there, but we don't ban them.
Right.
I'm just see. So that's why I'm like, look, it sets a weird precedent that you pushing out the president, and they're all banning like completely. Like will he ever get his stuff back?
Right.
On his whatever account, but it leads a lot of open-end questions that can lead to a lot of 1984 vibes. At first I heard I was like good, but then I'm thinking about let me get my emotions out and let me talk a little bit more. Let me think a little more critically. I don't know if that's good or not, but it does wonder the role of technology in these social media platforms. Where is that line, and how if other people who've definitely crossed that line, like Iran and shit like that, have not been held that to the same standard. That's all I'm saying. Now, speaking of standard, There, if you're in the military, do not be taking part in these fucking riots and shit. Just because they're gonna find you and catch you. They had a PSYOPs person up in.
Oh, come on, dude! We said we were gonna talk about that. What? Why'd you have to?
Never said that. I don't.
Oh my God! Look at the ops. Look at the
PSYOPs. The female in PSYOPs.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Totally got busted.
Let me hang on. Let me sprinkle some. Let me sprinkle some leaflet dust on you, so that way you cannot talk about it anymore.
Hey, look, I'm not even gonna harp on it because the military's doing their thing.
Right.
I'm just saying, look, if you're in the reserve, if you're in the National Guard, if you're active duty, don't fuck around because they're gonna find you and you're gonna be the stupid ass, and all of a sudden you're gonna be caught up there, and it's gonna fuck your career one way or another. Don't be that guy. I know they say the blood of the blood of patriots must help the tree of liberty and shit like that. Yeah, don't be a douchebag because right now social media
the blood of tree on the hill of patriots, or what was it, the tree on the top of the hill and all that. Some individuals are so out of shape they couldn't even make it up a hill. But
dump the tea in the bag. What are we talking about today?
With a twisted tea or what? I'm going to say this, that okay, now that we brought this up, and then since you brought it up, I'm going to talk about, because I was going to talk about Sarge's time. There you go, Flash, thanks. I did tell to some of my colleagues is that, was she there where was she at during the event? She could have been, and I'm not defending her, we got to think logically in this stuff too. I know we laugh at people all the time that do posts and say that they're at when they're not there. And they're like, oh, I'm over here. And then you ever see those meme pages that say, these individuals that say they're taking a trip in a plane, and then really they're like, the guy's got a freaking toilet ring next to a window, and it makes it look like he's flying.
Smart. I'm going to do that for my next Instagram.
So the way I see it is that, where was she at during the event? She could have been like I said, I told my colleagues this. She could have been at freaking Starbucks clout chasing with somebody else's pic and loaded it up on her Instagram. And then without real fucking proof, like real proof, she could have been at the hot dog cart. With that, did you see the hot dog cart that was right there? There was a guy fucking selling.
That is the smartest person.
He was selling fucking hot dogs. Yeah,
like
right.
$5 foot long.
Exactly. So she could have been at the fucking hot dog place, just sitting there watching everything happening.
Dog.
And then
tearing down democracy. Get a hot dog.
But anyways, she could have been there. She may not have been near there. So her biggest mistake, and I'll say this, was talking to the media about it, with the pictures accompanying her social media, and then her posting about getting buses to go up there and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs and all that. There was another thing too that I was getting some insight about. Is they don't know where's the bubble at? Like, what is considered trespassing on the Capitol grounds, where it's considered trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm not talking about the guys that were like fucking, that were out there. I'm just saying, wasn't there a barrier? Wasn't there like a breach? Wasn't there a line somewhere where they would consider it criminal trespassing to where they have to come on?
Yeah, they had like gates and stuff out there.
Right. So then a lot of the individuals that were there, because the individuals that are screaming and calling for pitchforks and all that shit, there was another individual that said, I was just there and I just realized how shit got out of control. And I just really, my wife was there and she took pictures and I couldn't believe this was happening. So my thing is that, why are they not going after that individual saying, you were there at the rally? You were there at the rally. So there's a lot of, you cannot, again, everyone, look, I wasn't there. Some of these individuals that are active duty or retired that went in and breached the fucking walls and were sitting, I mean, come on, that were there on the fucking Senate floor. Okay.
Air Force Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah, I can kind of tell you that's probably illegal. If you were in full kit, well, not really full kit, but if you were in some sort of body armor and helmet and you have flexi gloves and you're sitting there on the Senate floor, it's probably not legal. You know what I mean? So a lot of individuals need to read up on the policy of course, I'm talking about the military, of being in those type of activities. It's updated and shit. It's changed.
Look, see, my big thing when it comes to there's been times in my local area that had a Black Lives Matter protest, and I was going to go to that in support. There was a couple other protests that happened around or whatnot, and I was going to go to different ones, and I decided, no, I'm going to stay home. Now I found other ways. I preach, hey, let's come together. Let's find solutions. Let's understand the issues on the other side instead of just going, oh no, you hate cops or you this, that.
You hate vets.
you hate this, you hate that. And it's like, no, it's not hating. This is the problem. Like, don't push it to something else to gaslight your own thoughts. Maybe, anyways. But I've as someone who is is in the military in a capacity, and with my also what my current position is on my civilian side, it's just safer just to not go. So sometimes you risk what you want to risk, and I know, just like I will find other ways to support, but I also don't want to have anything misconstrued, and all of a sudden I end up on some Facebook report or on CNN, right. And I'm like, oh shit, because shit gets out of hand quick.
Well, if you look at the crowds, if you look at the crowds, there were people at other places. I could have been like, me and Baby Eyes could have been sitting there at the Washington Monument and just sitting there chilling and just watching. You know what I mean? Just watching and watching everything happen. All of a sudden now we're insurrectionists because we just happen to have been there at the same time. You can't really tell where anybody was at or what their intent was. I can tell you right now that the guys that were smashing through the fucking doors of the Capitol, you can see their intent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop you. Go. Sorry. Go.
You ready for this?
Go for it.
What the fuck is wrong with people? Now, I knew something was weird when I had random people in my who within my live TV my circle of influence / people I know / family who are going, hey, are you going to DC on the 6th? I'm like, no, why? The president's calling for supporters to go to D.C. and to protest that they're stealing the vote and this, that, and the other. And I'd be like, look, and and there's kind of like, hell no, I'm not going. One, I don't want to go up to D.C. no matter what, just because it's. Have you been on 95? It is the worst. I don't care if you're on HIV or whatever. No. Two, I'm certainly not going to go to a protest that I know is going to get kind of crazy. And what happened? It got kind of fucking crazy. And I know several people who were up there because they're fucking idiots as well. Well, they're stealing they have proof. Bitch, if they had proof, they wouldn't have 59 out of 60 fucking cases being thrown out. And I also say, if there's proof of the steal, and granted, I voted Libertarian. I didn't want either one of those assholes to be the president. But guess what? There has to be one. And if there was proof, you'd think after so many losses, or maybe if they thought it was a conspiracy by judges Trump put in himself, that they would release it to the public to show, see, this is what we're talking about. Win it in the public sphere, so then there's actual outrage. They haven't done that. So, but anyways, we're gonna have a protest at the Capitol, on the 6th. That the president's calling for people. That just sounds fucking dangerous already. I'm just gonna say that sounds kind of weird. That, hey, I've lost, but come here and have a tantrum with me. So, thousands of water fucking heads come out here and descend upon the Capitol from all stretches of the country to all throw a collective temper tantrum because they lost. Wow, this was one of the most voted on presidential elections. This is one of the most. Donald Trump got more popular votes than almost like any other Republicans in like the last 2 decades, which is to say something. Still got outdone by Joe Biden, who got more than like Obama, President Obama, and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton did during their times. I mean, they almost doubled the votes from last year, and doubling is like they only got like 30-something, 40-something million. They were passing like 60, 70 million. That's to say something that people on both sides went out and did their job and voted. And I know a lot of people are upset. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, even simple things look suspicious when you're on the fucking opposite side of what's happening. So these folks, these protesters, they descended upon our nation's capital in D.C. and they spoke and rallied and and then decided to be the biggest fucking douchebags in our fucking history of the 2000s. I mean, holy shit. Granted, and before y'all come out here saying if you didn't say anything about the Black Lives Matter riots in D.C., then you're a hypocrite. No, I've come on the show and said that, and I've already said that several times, that protests good, riots bad. I don't care. Your message gets muddled when there's violence. Shit happen. You lose what you're trying to say when there's violence and there's blood and there's fire and there's destruction. You lose it. It's gone. I don't fucking care what you have to say at this point. I'm going to turn you off because now you're just being douchebags to douchebags. Protest, good. So I have said that. Now I'm going to say this. Those fuckers who decided they wanted to fucking go siege the fucking Capitol. Our lawmakers were doing what they're supposed to do on the designated day they're supposed to do it. They were supposed to certify the election. It was within the lawmakers who decided they were going to argue against it and want it thrown out and stuff like that. It happens every time. They did it against Trump. They did it against Bush. They did it against Obama. They always do that. But this one was, most of the time no one hears about it because it's like one or two guys or gals or whatever, doing that. But this was a little bit more charged considering what the president has said several fucking times on Twitter, on the media, that it was stolen. So yes, everyone's making a bigger spectacle about it because you didn't hear about this when Trump was elected.
Right.
You didn't hear about all the people who, maybe it was a blip on MSNBC because they were trying to take any dig they can.
Recruiter Times said that if Vermin Supreme had gotten elected, none of this would have happened.
Hey man, we would have got ponies and fucking rifles and shit. Like that's what I'm talking about. I would have voted for him. I couldn't find him on my ballot.
Yeah. I'm disenfranchised. I am disenfranchised.
I like Dr. J a lot better.
Yeah, really, JoJo. Yep.
Joe Jerks. I still love her. I don't care. But they were doing their job. It doesn't matter if you like it or not that they were uncertain. It happens all the fucking time. It's their right to argue against it. They're going to. No one's ever happy their side is losing power, and the Republicans have lost the House, the Senate, and the presidency in elections. Not like it's the first time that's happened. Go back to when President Obama won and they took over everything again. Shazam. But guess what? There's another election. It happens. The House and Senate are going to come up for seats in 2 years. That's how it works. Everything goes back and forth. It sways. It's the balance of power. That's why we have elections on a cycle and stuff like that. But don't fucking lose your panties in a fucking twist that your team lost and say that everything was stolen because everyone cheated. You're saying there's a coordinated effort in 50 fucking states when we can't even get people to decide on which fucking person on American Idol to fucking vote for. But this we're all going to coordinate on to fuck over one person and fuck over one team. Nah. And I know we did some different things. We had mail-in ballots, and a lot of people worry about those. And I'm sure there's some fraudulent ones there. There's some fraudulent ones for Trump. I'm sure I know there's fraudulent ones for Biden. I'm sure the same tricks have been used, and they've been used. It's no big deal because it always happens. But I'm sure the fraudulent ones are minute compared to the legitimate fucking ones. And I also will say that the states next time need to get their shit together and have like a solid fucking plan because everyone had fucking different things they were doing. We're going to count ours after we count these ones. We're going to count these ones early and do this. Fuck it. Everyone just count your shit the same fucking time and we'll be fucking done. Why is Florida getting their shit done before Ohio, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and fucking North Carolina? But Florida's over there like, we counted good. Like, holy shit, where do you guys come from? Like, they found all the people, like old folks home, like, you guys are going to count. Okay. And they just sat there and counted and ate their fucking, ginger snaps and fucking caramels and fucking counted and shit. Florida did it better than Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, all of them. That's all I'm going to say on that. So they lost. People who voted for the Republican tickets lost. Why'd you lose? Because their message from the top was shit. Now, granted, the Republicans made a lot of advances in the House, a lot more than Nancy Pelosi really wanted because it went from being like a good majority to, if we lose a couple Democrats and the Republicans stay pretty solid, shit's not going to go through. Same thing in the Senate. Yes, you lost both spots in the Senate. It's now 50-50. That means there's no room for error for either one. Yes, the Democrats retain power or get power in the Senate because if a 50-50 split, Kamala Harris, the soon-to-be vice president, is the tiebreaker. So technically, they have the power. But if there's a drop from Republicans or Democrats, then something's not going through or something's going to go through they didn't want. Guess what? This is the most balanced we've been. Yes, the Democrats technically have a little more of the balance, but this is the most balanced our Senate and House have been in a long fucking time. And then we have the president coming out there saying, hey, come to D.C. and bitch about the fact that we fucking lost on this. Okay, I got it. It was a protest. I want to know, because I didn't see. All I know is I had way too many people who work and live in D.C. who all of a sudden I'm like, I told a couple people who I work with, I'm like, go home. Go home, go home, go home. I'll cover what you're doing.
Yeah, dude.
Get the fuck away. Get the fuck out of there because.
Yeah.
And it was right when shit started getting crazy.
You know,
I'm sorry.
right.
When did the people who were yelling at Black Lives Matter protesters with back the blue, back the blue, back the blue, back the blue, and then fucking fight against fucking security officers and police officers? Fucking one of them died from his injuries from getting his shit kicked in by fucking rioters and fucking enemies of the fucking state. And I'll fucking say it again, enemies of the fucking state. As soon as they crossed those lines and started fighting with the security officers and broke into the Capitol, they knew they weren't going to get in the Capitol any of this. This was lockdown day because it was a fucking giant-ass protest. This isn't your normal, we're on a field trip and we're going to visit the Capitol. No, bitch, this is shut down. You knew it. They knew it. So the fact that you're tearing down fences, fighting with police officers and shit, and breaking windows climbing the walls, breaking in the windows. Fuck you. This was a siege on our fucking nation's capital, and every one of them are fucking not patriots. You know what it reminds me of? And I've watched enough. One thing I really like is my personal family history. Knowing that a lot of my family came from Germany, fought in the German army in World War II, came over from Germany. You know, my great grandmother came over from Germany, and like I have family. I understand my family heritage and everything like that, and what came along with the actions of my family on that side of the family. And so I've tried to understand how people living in Germany after World War I could allow such
World War II as well.
That's what I say. Did I say World War I?
You said World War I.
World War II.
I mean,
after World War I.
After World War II,
yeah. A dictator like Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And allow an organization like the Brown Shirts, that became the Nazis, to take over like they did. This fucking reminded me about the fucking documentaries I saw. You know why? Because they were fucking pissed off. They lost, and they threw a fucking hissy fit, and were trying to fucking. I don't know what they would have done if they would have got to any of these lawmakers, congressmen, and women, and senators and shit. I don't know what happened, but people were fucking prepared. Like, or what does Marie Antoinette, like you're going to fucking cut people's heads off? There's people saying kill them all. There was people who were fucking carrying like, what do you call it? The zip tie fucking cuffs.
Oh my God, I know, dude.
Were you going to walk out Nancy Pelosi into the front lawn and shoot her? What the fuck were you planning to do?
Yeah, exactly. That was my biggest thing.
What the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah.
And they.
Yep. What were they planning? That was my thing. What were they planning?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like, what the fuck was actually happening? I get it. You're pissed. You lost. This is very charged, but Donald Trump lost. It happened. He did all the legal things he could. He really did, but he fucking lost. And the fact that his supporters lost their shit so much that they were breaking windows and breaking doors, and they fucking were trying to break into the fucking chamber door, into the chamber floor, where they had Secret Service men and Capitol Police and everybody. Fucking guns drawn on those. Man, right. I tell you what, there's a picture of the guy looking through the fucking window. I would have shot him. I would have been like, no, dude, this is that's a battlefield right there.
That's what trips me out, man, is that they had, you got to remember when you're certifying the votes of the Electoral College, senior members of our government are in there, to include our vice president. What the fuck do you think they were going to do?
What would have happened if the response inside the chambers wasn't they weren't able to get everyone as quickly out? What would have happened if they would have got their hands on a couple of Democratic lawmakers?
Yeah,
would we be fucking burying lawmakers?
Yeah.
What would have fucking happened? Because I can't say these guys would have just shouted at him nothing, because they seemed hell-bent. And what the fuck is there a Confederate flag doing in my nation's fucking capital? Fuck me, but I thought that was a fucking losing team. Oh, wait, it belongs to the losing side, just like Donald Trump. Zynga. But fuck you bringing a Confederate flag, because that's how you win the election, is by bringing up a battle flag that wasn't even flown, but has become the symbol of white supremacy, racist, and douchebag. Oh, Southern heritage. I'm from the South. Fuck you. That's not Southern heritage. Southern heritage is fried chicken and fishing. That is not stars and bars and shit like that. The rebel. Fuck you. It wasn't a rebel flag. Bullshit. It was to terrorize people. So fuck you, that guy, because they're actually trying. The FBI is asking for help to ID that fucker, and I hope they do. So they not only break in, you have lawmakers scram. Granted, there's some who are being a little bit way more dramatic than they really. I mean, I get it.
You kind of remember, man. Come on, this is scary. You know, it's scary for them.
People have lived kind of cushy lives.
Right.
There's a couple of combat vets who were kind of having a PTSD flashback.
Right.
I get that. Shit being, kind of reminds me of kind of like Benghazi kind of shit. Like people were breaking in windows and trying to get at them. I'm surprised there wasn't more dead. I'm not calling for more dead. I'm just saying I'm surprised there wasn't more. But you have blood spilt on the Capitol of the Air Force, the Air Force or the airman, the airwoman who was shot in the neck. And unfortunately, I stumbled onto that video on Twitter, and I watched her fucking, was bleeding out, and I knew that, and no one knew what the fuck they were doing because the fucking Gravy SEALs and fucking chairback Rangers over there didn't realize somebody shot in the neck. Ooh, let's just stare at her. Or
dude, you ain't lying.
Like neckband.
Holy, that's what
somebody plug that fucking hole.
That's what me and Spanky were talking about. Everyone just sat there and watched her. I'm like, hey, heroes, I thought you were all Mr. Billy Badasses and shit.
Patriots, weekend warrior, reservists,
they
and
literally
National Guard folks that are some of the softest people ever who could see a gunshot and go, oh shit, I need to stop the bleeding. Yeah, they just stood there. I'm like, fuck you guys, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing, carrying around body armor and shit like that, acting all like, oh, I could have served. Fuck you. You probably did 1 day basic training and called yourself a bitch and left. Like, fuck off. The fact that she died because no one fucking she lost all her blood because no one could even, they're just looking at oh, look, yep, she was shot right there.
Yeah, dude.
Bitch, put your fucking fingers in there and stop the fucking bleeding. I'm sorry. I understand, and life is precious to me, and it's tragic she died, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I don't feel bad. I don't. She was fucking, I'm surprised that more people weren't shot. I mean, I'm sorry. Those guys, the Capitol Police had a great fucking restraint.
Exactly
that. They're getting their
exactly
people out.
That.
They had their weapons drawn on that fucking.
And that's another thing too, where she was breaching. And this is just rumor, okay? I'm not. We have nothing confirmed. This is just rumor, and this is what what social media rumor is saying is that there was possibly some VIPs in there that the Capitol Police were protecting, because that's why that happened.
I don't care if a junior senator was in there.
No, that's what I'm saying. There was probably right. If there was a lawmaker in there,
year fucking Republican or Democrat.
Exactly.
Nah,
if there was
they're doing their
job. Exactly. That's what some of my Leo friends were going, yeah, that was more likely was probably a cabinet official. Or hell, it could have been. I'm just saying it could have been. I'm not saying it is. So I want everybody to freak out and misquote me. It could have been possibly a member of the executive branch. It could have been the president, the vice president, or his staff. You know what I mean?
It could have been anything.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
All I know is they did their job and they had a lot of restraint. I do want to say, fuck you guys again, because you don't back the blue. You talk shit because you have no other arguments. Black Lives Matter, instead of saying that fuck you, we don't care if black people die, because that's all I'm hearing. Because this proved right here that you don't back the fucking blue, because we had a guy who not only fucking was, several of them were bloodied and beaten on, that we had a guy who just collapsed and died, who was a fucking veteran, who died because of these fucking riots.
That video,
that blood is on all of their fucking hands.
That video
was.
People
are all getting up in arms because they're being ID'd and arrested and shit.
Yeah.
Yes, you broke into the fucking Senate. You broke it. Granted, I thought it was funny. The guy was sitting there at Nancy Pelosi's desk. I did chuckle.
That was a
but
chuckle.
Also, you're also fucking trespassing, breaking, entering, and fucking in a fucking riot. And you're going to go to fucking jail. And I'm glad you're smiling for that picture, because I hope they use it as your fucking mugshot. And they did. People walking out with the fucking podium and shit, going up and down like they're, like this is the French fucking Revolution and shit. Or this is the brown shirts trying to, smash down windows and intimidate. Fuck you guys. You are not going to intimidate this fucking country, because guess what? Your little voices of douchebaggery, I don't fucking care. Oh, Parler got taken away. Fuck you. It's Amazon and Apple's right not to carry that bullshit. And some people are like, well, I kind of wish Parler was still here, because now the fucking racists have come and assholes have come back to Twitter. They said we're never coming back to Twitter again. Welcome back, douchebags. Hope you get banned too. Fuck those guys. Oh, we lost Parler. Oh, maybe if you guys weren't so, fucking crazy douchebags, you wouldn't be able to keep your little platform that was supposed to, Parler's going to outrival Facebook and Twitter. Fuck you guys. And now these same people who are being identified are also being put on no-fly lists and can't fly the fuck home. Good. Suck it. You don't come into my nation's capital, come into the place where laws and progress has been made to better this country, to declare wars against fucking tyrants and shit, and to do all the stuff we've done, good or bad. That is our lawmaking body's place. That is the capital. You rolled up in there, broke down the doors, and now are bitching because you can't get your fucking little coach ass at home back to whatever rinky-dink fucking backwater Mudville town.
I saw the video of the cop getting dragged out and beaten the crap of, and then I saw the other video of the cop getting beat down and hitting over the head with a fucking fire extinguisher, getting bashed. So, and then I saw the other video of the cop getting pressed up against the door, and I was like, at the same time this was happening, I was looking behind them, and they had the thin blue line flags. They had the, you know what I mean? It was almost like, are you fucking for real? You guys are toting all that support for fucking law enforcement, and here you are fucking beating them up. And it just so happens that everybody who wasn't that had suffered casualties, you know, there was also a police officer that took his own life afterwards, and they were both vets. And I'm thinking, fuck, dude, what the fuck y'all thinking? Again, I don't subscribe to that shit. That wasn't a joke. And in the video we're going to play after we cap the show, we're going to let Nick Palmiciano tell his side of it. So, but anyways, dude, did you think at all everyone was? I mean, as you're seeing what they're doing and all that, could you kind of see when they were doing that what exactly? I mean, was it coming together to you, or you were just thinking, and then just me asking you, that they were just causing trouble, or once they started bashing through and started walking through the Capitol, you thought, okay, this is real shit? What were you thinking when you saw that shit?
You know, I expected a little bit of rowdiness. These guys are unhappy. I can get, you know, you're unhappy, but be unhappy in your fucking home. I do feel that, especially the people who made a scene, like the ones who were like all dressed up, the ones that were breaking through, and then just walk the fuck out like they thought that it was over, and they did their civic duty and shit, and they're wondering why they're getting arrested. I do feel, and like Antifa had infiltrated. Of course they did, because of course. No. So you guys are such bitches that you need Antifa to do the stuff for you. Fuck you. Like
That's true.
100% dislike Antifa. I do feel like they're borderline domestic terrorist group, and I'll fucking, like, I get you're anti-fascist, and I'm cool with that, but I'm also anti-you because you're also up for destruction and just a bunch of kids hijacking the Black Lives Matter message just so you can burn down and pout and whatever, and I'll punch you in the face too. But I don't believe Antifa. They're like all the people. They debunked the people that said that they were Antifa. No, they weren't. Fuck you. But I do feel that there were at least there were a couple of people who went there knowing that something was going to happen, and all it took was a spark. And somebody created a spark, because why the fuck else are you coming in with fucking handcuffs? Is that your normal protest stuff? Why are you coming in body? I mean, thank God they didn't have fucking rifles and shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There was also some automation missing. We got Branko in the freaking YouTube chat asking about if there was honestly think that the press made up shit about Pelosi. See, this is why. Think about it now. Nobody believes shit now. Nobody believes shit just by that. I mean, I'm not picking on you, Branko. I'm just saying, just by the way you asked that question, it shows that it's a good question, that now doubt has been placed that the media made the Pelosi laptop, which was a Sipper laptop. Because they did say that there were some national security issues. And you got to remember, these lawmakers are part of some committees that are involved within our national security assets.
I mean, many of them sit on different committees and shit.
Correct.
I mean, the fact that my thing is, if they would have protested, I would have rolled my eyes and said whatever. When they started fucking creating violence, the same way when Black Lives Matter go from protest to riots, I fucking have an issue. And the fact that these guys went and they were. Can we talk about the gas masks these lawmakers had? Like, what the fuck where the fuck did they get these, and why can't I get issued one of those? Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, those were egress masks. Those are used temporarily for that way. You're talking about that way you can get out of an area, and you're the ones you're the ones that you're talking about that look like almost like a space helmet, right?
Yeah.
Those masks are meant for, like, you put on egress a building to during like a chemical or biological environment. Because you got to remember, man, nobody storms the Capitol, so nobody knows. There are some individuals that have gone through life that doesn't know what CS smells like. Mm-hmm. Or what smoke
or the
smells.
fact that at one point people were sending anthrax to the fucking to our fucking lawmakers and shit. But the fact that lawmakers, whether you like them or not, were doing their job. Now sometimes we don't always think they're doing their job, but this case, this day, they were doing their job. Like it or not, they were certifying the votes. People were arguing against the certification of the votes. They were having those conversations. They were doing their job to finalize the election of Joe Biden. I never thought I'd say it, but hey, Joe Biden is going to be our president on January 20th. The fact that the protests turned into riots, that whole back the blue bullshit is now apparently disproven. And they fucking beating up on cops. There's video of them chasing them through the halls because it's one guy against 30. I'm sorry. I don't care how hard you think you are. That's a losing situation.
Yeah.
Fucking book it.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at him and was like, oh shit. The fact that they were these rioters were attacking fucking media and the press. The fact that they were going in and breaking parts of the building apart, and they were going in with handcuffs. Like this was fucking the French Revolution, and they're going to fucking get the fucking monarchy and chop their heads off. I do not know. I do feel that had these guys got a hold of some of them, I think the Capitol Police would have been a little bit more, a little more releasing of their little Full Metal friends. But the fact that the Capitol Police was able to do their job, get people out of there, did it with minimal loss of life.
They showed,
it's astounding. They did their job. They held it so much restraint. Again, like I said,
they showed some restraint,
those guys busting through. You see, there was like 6 guns on that door.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I would have not been the first time it nearly opens and I take a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. At that point,
and it takes that's
a Benghazi situation.
Yeah, and I even said to somebody when this was unfolding, we were watching it in the WTF talk. I was watching this. We were watching the video, and I even said, "It's like, man, all it takes is one crack. All it takes is one pop in the crowd, and someone's going to react and think that's it. That's going to be their cue to light it up." The fact that they didn't show restraint, the fact they showed restraint to me, is incredible, and to the professionalism. Because God, that it could have been so much worse. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
And then once backup started showing up, then that's when you saw, the real deal is showing up.
And then these fools held the Capitol. They held the floor, the chamber, for a couple of hours, and then waltzed out like oh whatever, saying they did their job. People on camera saying we're going to be back, and next time we'll be back with guns, and we're dropping bodies. Like straight up said, we'll be back with guns, and we're dropping bodies. Like that's a threat against officials. That's a threat against our nation. I don't fucking care. You know what? If you do not like it, you feel free to send a message to U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio. You tell them to fire me or whatever. I don't fucking care. I'll die on this fucking hill because that's bullshit. That's not patriotism. That's fucking domestic terrorism. That's fucking bullshit that belongs somewhere else. And honestly, every one of them, everyone who broke in, if you were there and like things got crazy, you shouldn't have been there because you shouldn't have been that stupid. But I'm not. I'm more of like, you're just a dumbass. Go
right.
away.
See, that's a good point. You got to, and Scott said that too. Scott said in the chat, the mob mentality is crazy.
The mob mentality changes.
Yeah,
it change. I mean, if you look at it in these Middle Eastern countries, how a spark and a mob happens, and all of a sudden, people are shit's going down. Right. And it went down at the nation's capital. And I know some people were just like, probably went like, oh, fuck, what did we get ourselves into? And ran off.
Yeah, and that's
probably a smart move. But every one of them who fucking entered those buildings illegally deserves to be fucking charged.
See, now Pip brings up a good point, too. He said Madonna said she was going to blow up the White House when she was at a rally. Now, with the way things have happened, and it's because it's somebody that everybody likes, do you think everybody's going to be fucking take it seriously?
Oh no, I thought that she and same thing with
Johnny Depp.
Comedian?
Johnny Depp.
I was thinking of the comedian that held the severed head of Donald Trump.
Oh, Kathy Griffin. Yeah. Kathy Griffin. Yeah.
But
again, you go in there, you show up. I'll be honest with you. I mean, because look, there are some people who are genuinely fucking supported genuinely support the president, and they want to see what's up, and they want to go show some support. We have hung out, we have been with, we have talked to, we've had individuals on air that are Trump supporters. They just go and they're there and all that. I know for a fact these individuals are mature enough that if shit started happening, they'd be like, "What the fuck is going on?" and they leave. So if you were gonna. Are you going to demonize the individuals that were there when they saw this shit happening and they decided to book?
They're stupid for being they're stupid or going to a protest because they're throwing a collective temper tantrum. But I don't blame them. I'm not going to be like, no, you're a writer too. No, the fucking people who stepped on those stairs and entered that building, I hope they all get fucking charged and they get what's coming to them. And I love the fact that social media is fucking with them. The fact that people are there's video people who are being put on no-fly lists. That they're being ID'd, that they're reporting every time one of these sons of bitches, and they're like, oh, the person wearing the fucking like headdress and shit apparently used to be an Air Force person.
The Navy, he's a Navy guy, I think, Navy Cook or something.
Navy guy, fucking, he's fucking arrested. The guy who had his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Granted, I'm not a fan of her at all, but that's disrespectful for a fucking lawmaker, and I wouldn't fucking do that. Was a fucking arrested in like Nashville. Good. All these guys, fuck you. Good. I'm glad your little fucking. Your side chick fucking what do you call it? Parlor got taken down. I'm glad you're getting put on no-fly list because you're not a fucking American. Honestly, I want to take your citizenship and give it to one of these fucking foreigners that are trying to come here and live in this country and be Americans. So fuck
there is
you,
a story about
yourself.
Parler that is a operational informational security stuff. I fucking love. Okay, now. And this is going to be a story that we're probably going to put on the WTF Nation Radio's Facebook page. Because Parler wasn't really developed properly, I think because every platform like Twitter when they first started off, and Facebook, there were so many bugs attached to it. There's so much information that wasn't just quite locked down. Everybody knows, especially when you're a gamer and you play video games. Online, that there's a lot of debugging needs to happen in the game because there's just some reason why. That's why like Cyberpunk 2077, that game took a little bit to launch because of all the bugs and all that. Well,
and it still sucks.
It's not a bad game. It's not a bad game at all. It's actually pretty quiet. That game will get you like either really cool, just like it'll just get you grooving, or you'll start to fall asleep. But I'll save that for CQ. But the thing is that when they did that, if you had a Parler account, all the information that you sent up, that you provided to them, left a backdoor open, left several backdoors open, to where a lot of your information was just left on open URLs. 71 terabytes of information, and what they didn't do is, like, for instance, when you're on Facebook and you have you have some freaking, you load up a pic, you load up something on Facebook, somebody takes a pic on there and it just says, okay, just took it from Facebook. What these individuals didn't do is that part of the bugging, I guess, is that Parler's information. I'm getting some of these pieces of information too from some people that have talked to me about it. The metadata that's on a video or a picture that you send it from, no matter where you think you say you sent it from, is not filtered. So in other words, you sent that pic and you posted it on Parler. Parler is not removing all the metadata of where you uploaded it, when it was taken, and who it belonged to, and then that was it. Which is freaking insane.
And all that information got leaked.
All the information, not only did it get it leaked, but it's uploaded, and the feds are looking through it.
They're looking through all the messages.
You could have all the hate speech, all the fucking videos, all the emails, all the phone numbers, all the dick pics, all the tit pics. Everything that you've loaded up on Parler, it's out in the open with your meta. Because I was kind of like, really? Fuck real? And then I got an image of just the metadata, lat longs, time, and I'm like, holy shit. All somebody has to do is get that referenced information and those latitudes and longitudes on a map and lay it on an overlay of the Capitol and guarantee it you'll be able to see exactly where these fuckers, man, are so exactly that rookie move. Exactly.
Now,
Recruiter Times.
Chris, I'm going to say, because I know we're going to end this, so this will be my last thought.
Go ahead.
This is not the Boston Tea Party, okay? The Boston Tea Party was about patriots who were upset that they were being taxed and not having a voice in that. and they decided to take it out by of course, in kind of a racist way, storming in a full Indian gear onto the ships and pouring the tea back into the ocean because they weren't going to pay the tax that they weren't represented on and had a voice in. These folks here had a voice. They were given the American right of a free election. However they voted, in person, they were given all kinds of different ways. In person, absentee, mail-in just because they wanted to, early voting, on the day voting. Like they had they're throwing a tantrum because their side lost. And of course they're going to think this. The Democrats did the same thing, and it's like, oh, we lost because of Russia and shit like that. Which it was proven that pretty much people lied about who they talked to, but Russia really didn't do anything, and that's why nothing really happened, and it's all gone away because nothing. But they didn't fucking storm the Capitol, terrorize our lawmakers, and make a mockery of a fucking where we conduct our nation's business. This is not the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party was about not having a voice. People had a voice. They lost. Fuck you guys. Not you, Chris. I'm saying the guys in general.
Okay. Well, with that, we have a pretty big list of individuals. We're gonna be playing Nick Palmisano's episode of the Bad News Network. I wanted to make sure.
Hell yeah!
I want to make sure that his message got thrown far and wide. I'm not saying that he can't do it on his own. I just think that I wanted to put it out there too, so that way you guys, the listening audience,
team effort.
Yeah, team effort and a collaborative. And he already knows that we're doing this. But again, look for the story of the Parler information dump. It is the most amateur gold mine of information that you could possibly imagine. And if you have sent some if you had sent some pictures you shouldn't have sent it to, or you had messaged some people that you shouldn't have messaged, they're all going to be in there, and they're all going to go and be traced to whatever the feds are already looking through that shit. So this is going to be interesting to see what the jihadists and Al-Qaedas have been doing. Al-Qaedas. But real quick, hey, I just want to go over we got to do some housekeeping, and we're all back in the mix. And real quick, we have a pretty good lineup of guests coming up, and this will be pretty cool. We also have an historic guest coming on, a very historic guest that I would never thought I would be saying this over the mic. So stand by, but bear with me real quick. So on the 18th of January, we're going to have Brian Check. He is the founder and CEO of Battle Scarred Motorsports, and he'll be on the Monday edition to talk to me in Flash of what they do for veterans, countless veterans, first responders. And Battle Scarred Motorsports' mission is to provide an avenue for these heroes to talk to a family once they're trusted with all their hearts. Brian himself is a U.S. Marine veteran and saw the need for an outlet for our military veterans and our first responders to have an outlet to kind of like release their adrenaline. Finding out that there are few options out there for them, he decided to use motorsports racing. Again, this is going to be awesome because riding on sport bikes and shit. Oh, I didn't tell you I'm about ready to buy another bike. I forgot to tell you. I'll send pics. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, I'll talk about that later. Not only to help them release adrenaline, but at least have a family they can trust to and talk to. On the 25th of January, we're going to have George Bell, Vice President of Fieldcraft Survival, Inc. He hosted me on his podcast with Fieldcraft Survival, and now he's going to come on here and show his wares. And George is a retired Master Sergeant, spent 20 years in special operations as a psychological operations expert, and served in various positions in the U.S. Army and led counterproliferation and counterterrorism operations around the world. He and I have deployed together and run our stuff, and it's been fun. He enjoys off-roading, bushcraft, and of course collecting historical artifacts. He's going to be talking about survival stuff, fieldcraft survival, things that you need to know. I'm going to get some videos from him, and we're going to be playing it through the show and all that. And it's going to be pretty cool because there's a lot of individuals that, especially during this time they feel that they're in a crisis, you come to find out they can't cook for shit, or they can't survive out in the field, or if you break down in your car and it's outside in the cold, how are you going to do to survive? If you roll up on an accident scene, how are you going to provide aid? What tools do you need? He's going to come on board to talk about that. And on the 4th of February, Colonel Jeremy Mister, the commander of my former organization, the 8th Psychological Operations Group. He's going to be coming on. to talk about the PSYOP and what they do around the world. And of course, supporting operations around the globe with specialized expeditionary teams tailored fit to execute print, AV, and broadcast activities. Also, the unit houses the Information Warfare Center and other capabilities designed to support our forces. Man, I can't wait to include my old battalion, Night PSYOP Battalion, baby. Whoop, whoop. The PSYOP Regiment's National Mission Force, which deploys all supporting special mission units around the world. Can't wait for him to come on. Now, of course, because, it's my former organization, so I'm kind of pumped. However, 18 February, I never thought I was ever going to say this on air. The Command Sergeant Major of USAREC is coming on to WTF Nation Radio. John Foley. He became the senior enlisted advisor for
you. Did we blackmail him or something?
No.
That's awesome.
No, dude, he wants to come on. He wants to shoot shit.
Sorry, Major, you're either going to come on.
He's going to come on. It's going to be fun. He's gonna. No, he did not get blackmailed. Can't wait. It's gonna be a good show. He's gonna be on to talk about what the force and the Army's recruiting mission and how everyone can help be a part of it. I'm gonna take some questions. You guys go ahead and start emailing or dropping questions in the inbox for the USAREC CSM. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna send it to him so that way we can kind of, because there's a lot of questions that were involved in regulations and stuff like that, and y'all know senior leadership sometimes don't have the finite details to be able to grab some of that. So some of the questions you have about bonuses and fielding MOSs and stuff like that, or whatever, any recruiting type stuff. As a matter of fact, if you're planning on joining the U.S. military, you can also ask questions to it and drop us an inbox at U.S. Army WTF Moments and say, hey, this is for the USAREC Sergeant Major, or WTFNationRadio.com. Or you can contact us at contact@WTFNationRadio.com for your question to the CSM of USAREC. I'm excited. This is historic. I mean, we used to kind of like make fun of USAREC all the time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, wow, I'm overwhelmed. So, anyways, with that, you got anything you want to say, Flash, or you got any parting words? Because I know you just told me I needed to start doing my parting words statement, so I got to be,
Parting words from Flash.
Go ahead.
These people have shown what is another version of the worst that our country has to offer. Every day is a day for you and your community and your home and your sphere to show what the best that Americans could be. We don't need a 9/11 event to come together and to bridge the gap. Yes, you may not be happy that, a Republican or a Democrat won your specific seat or that the president's going to be Joe Biden. I get that. But we cannot resort to being the worst in humanity because that's how nations fall. That's how Rome fell. A lot of people keep comparing us to Rome. What we need to do is find common ground and fucking calm the fuck down. So with that, please reach out. Try to look at things from other people's perspectives, have an open mind, and just be better people.
Okay. Sometimes it's better to take a good walk than a bad stand. So with that, y'all have a good night. I'm going to go ahead and just play the stinger and the actually, I'm just going to start I'm going to start Nick's segment right now. And then with that, I'll be closing out, and y'all have a good night. So peace.
Hi, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Matt Finnan.
And I'm Thomas Hunt. And this is the Bad News Network. You motherfuckers. You dumb, stupid motherfuckers. How do you look around at what's going on in the world and think, I'm going to solve this by storming the Capitol building wearing a f***ing buffalo helmet, body paint, blasting through cops that you've claimed to support all f***ing year, killing a guy by hitting him with a fire extinguisher. Trump lost the election. He f***ing lost the election. And it wasn't even close. He lost f***ing Georgia. It's a red state. I mean, I know everybody right now is like, oh, Georgia's going to be blue forever now. It's not. It's a red state. He did not do the job necessary to get elected. It's a loss. And it's not a big deal to lose. Like, do you think most people haven't experienced a loss that they didn't like? Do you think as a young guy in the military, I was super excited to watch George Bush Sr. lose to Bill Clinton? George Bush, who is the only president in modern history to actually win a war, to actually put a plan together, to actually have a strategic vision for how it ends, to execute that perfectly and not go over the line, to be the kind of person that raised taxes just because he knew it was the right thing, even though he knew it was going to hurt his election chances. Integrity. A guy like that is replaced by Bill Clinton, who was a sleazebag, who had a 21-year-old kid give him a BJ and then lied about it like he was some kind of victim. You think that didn't hurt? People weren't storming the Capitol. You storm the Capitol, you try to turn an election around, a legitimate election. You try to defeat the democratic process that has held strong for hundreds of years because you don't like it. Over what? Over a dude that isn't even a Republican. He has no Republican values. None of the things that if you've called yourself a Republican for years, small government, no debt, judicious use of the military. Hey, that's the one thing. You know what? I'm wrong. One thing. He didn't abuse the military. He didn't get into wars. I'll give him that one. Free market. No. Individual rights. No. I mean, this guy is not a Republican. This guy put his family in positions of power. If Obama had done that, we all rightly would have been just slamming the guy 24/7. This guy that routinely lied about this election. He knew he lost. The Republicans knew that he lost. And everybody's going to pretend that there was this grand scheme that no one saw, that 50 courts have said there is zero evidence happened. Was there some fraud in the election? Absolutely. You know why? Because there's fraud in every single election. But the idea that there was this overwhelming fraud that was hidden away and everybody's in on it is absurd. He spent 4 years pushing people away, dividing people, ostracizing people, making people feel like they don't belong in this country. And you're going to storm the Capitol for that guy. He doesn't give a about you. Does not give a And like, I'm sitting here as a Republican who is pissed off. I'm so pissed off right now because I am in a position where I have been for 4 years where I don't know who the to vote for. Who the represents my perspective? Who represents most of America, which is a moderate perspective? I have a choice between a bunch of people that are willing to lie over and over and over again, regardless of what it does to the country, regardless of whether or not it hurts the institutions that are critical to the United States of America even functioning, questioning whether elections are real. Now we know that the next election, people are going to bring up the same bullshit because this guy just started saying over and over again that this election wasn't valid, even though there's no proof that that happened ever. I have a choice between that and a group of people that want to diminish individual rights, that want to basically stack the deck so that their party can never lose again, talking about court packing, talking about, making DC a state for the shit of it. I mean, there is so much bullshit going on right now. There is literally no one trying to solve the problems. I used to be proud to be a Republican because I always felt like while the Republican Party was never perfect, we were always the adults in the room. We weren't operating off of emotion. It wasn't like, oh yeah, you know, we should solve this problem and just not worry about how it gets paid for. We should, you know, make sure that we stick to the Constitution. Well, we've been playing loosey-goosey with the Constitution for 4 years, and it culminated with this moment where, you know, you've got a bunch of people comparing storming the Capitol in order to seize or possibly kill members of Congress at the coaxing of the President of the United States. His tweets were ridiculous, have been ridiculous, telling people that this wasn't a real election, telling people that, you know, he's going to rally back, that he's going to win this thing, when everybody knew there was no way to do that. People walked into that thing with pipe bombs, with handcuffs, with zip strips. This wasn't a protest. I get that a lot of people are comparing it to Black Lives Matter. I get that a lot of people are comparing it to the rioting, and I am not saying that the way the media and I'll say it, the liberal, the liberal extreme talking about how the protests were mostly peaceful and poo-pooing the fact that, you know, businesses were getting wiped out, small businesses getting wiped out, saying things like, well, you know, sometimes, you know, when people are angry, this stuff happens and it's okay. Like, that wasn't okay. We said it wasn't okay. We've been consistent in saying it's not okay. But you know what's worse? It is one thing to destroy a city block in a stupid riot. It is another thing to wage war on the institutions that we rely on for our country. We rely on the idea that you have to have a peaceful transfer of power, that we all get a voice, that no one's voice is worth more than anyone else. And once we vote, we count the votes, and that's it, whether we like it or not. There have been so many elections I have not been happy with. But so what? My voice is one voice. So now, we've got a president who told people the election was a lie, who rallied up a bunch of people. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, these guys were all just stupid morons. They, you know, they're idiots or whatever. Like, there are people that believe in this man, that believe in him wholeheartedly for whatever reason. And you can throw stones, you can do whatever. But like, when you're a leader, there is a responsibility. There were CEOs that stormed the Capitol building. Government employees, veterans. It's easy to be like, oh yeah, they're all pieces of shit. They were led to think that their country was being overrun. They were led to believe that the Democrat establishment has created this elaborate secret society that's changing votes. We're all responsible for our own actions, but you cannot have a party that endorses this kind of bullshit and be taken seriously. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed right now. And now today, the dude says, and I say the dude, I've called him Mr. President the entire time, but you know what? Like, after this bullshit, the guy says today he's not going to show up for Biden's inauguration. He's not going to be there as a symbol of a peaceful transition of power. And you all know why he's not going to, because the second he's out of office, he's going to go back on this stuff. He's going to be in the media. He's going to be making jokes about how the election got stolen from him. People are dead. Major institutions that we hold dear are now in question. We are playing right into the hands of the Russians and the Chinese. Intelligence reports have said over and over again that we have Russian and Chinese operatives that are making fake social media accounts that are basically coaxing all of these stupid ideas. But they don't have to work that hard when the president's echoing them. This isn't a thing where, like, I'm sitting here bashing individual Americans, but, like, you guys have to think about this. I've never seen it like this in my lifetime. You know, if you're out on social media right now, and this goes for liberals, this goes for Republicans, whatever you call yourself, if you're out there saying, I'll never forgive so-and-so, or this is going to be war, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to get these people back. Get people back for what? If you're a politician, your job is to solve problems. What problems have been solved in the last 4 years, in the last 8 years? What congressional members are trying to solve problems? Spending all their time with, like, little quips on Twitter. F you. F you. Solve some problems. Right? I'll tell you what, another, you know, like Mitch McConnell, man, I've been a Republican my entire fucking life. Mitch McConnell making jokes about how he stopped all this legislation on Fox the other day, you know, about how he stacked the deck and blocked a bunch of judges at the end of the Obama administration so he could stack the deck in this administration. That kind of shit, I mean, it's bullshit, but that kind of shit would have never happened under any other administration because he would have been seen as repulsive. But the president has lowered the bar over our expectations of what politicians do so much that now everybody thinks they can do it. The left, the right, the stuff that politicians say now is absurd. Like, I don't give a shit that you can make somebody feel bad on Twitter, on Facebook. You know, little mic drops and shit. That's not your fucking job. Your job is to run this fucking country. Congress is an embarrassment. Fucking embarrassment. There is nobody in my organization right now that I wouldn't rather have in Congress than all you motherfuckers. And you've played games with each other for 4 years. 4 years. Bullshitting back and forth. 4 years. The president doing whatever he wants, making excuses for him on the right, pretending everything that he did was Hitler on the left. Like, it's so absurd, nobody takes you seriously. And the media jumps on board and they take anything that is remotely incendiary and they blow it up to the highest level. But we're not hearing about anything of substance. You know, I'll tell you what. I said this is absurd, and I already know what the comments are going to be like in this. Like, I f***ing sold out, I'm a rhino, whatever. People called Romney a rhino because he didn't go in lockstep with this guy. I'll tell you what, I guarantee Mitt Romney feels like his integrity is intact. I guarantee he sleeps like a baby because that motherfucker is right. Everything that guy's been saying all year is right. Actual Republican. Oh, Mitt Romney's boring. He sure is. I sure wish we had more boring. I sure wish we had more people trying to actively solve problems. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. We elect these f***ing assholes. We elect these people and then we cheer them on social media, when they smack down another politician, when they make funny videos, when they do things that are meaningless. Where's the legislation? We have so many problems right now. American healthcare is f***ed. There's a lot of ways to solve it. Anybody working on it? We get Democrats just saying free healthcare. We got Republicans saying no. Any other solutions? Could you guys maybe sit down and talk about it? Look at base causes? Solve any problems? We've got people that can't afford college, but college is critical. China is churning out 1,000 A million STEM PhDs a year. Our biggest rival is creating knowledge, intelligence, ability. We've got kids graduating from high school that cannot even do basic algebra. Maybe Congress could look at that problem. I can go on and on. We all know that there's issues. We have a disease that has dragged our economy down, that has killed over 300,000 people. Are we working together to solve that problem? No. We put out a bullshit bill that put $600 in the pockets of Americans, did jack shit for small business, and put $800 billion or something overseas. Like, you guys are just such a f***ing disappointment. And this moment right now is the most disappointing political moment of my entire life. Storm the f***ing Capitol dressed like a bunch of f***ing assholes with pipe bombs and zip strips. You are lucky. You are lucky that the Capitol Police didn't just decide to stack bodies. We elect these motherfuckers. We elect them. We choose these shitty people. We choose to be shitty to each other. We choose to create that friction that allows assholes like this to play off it, that allows China and Russia to feed that friction. And I'll tell you what, like, if you're throwing those kinds of comments on social and you're being a dick and you're saying, I'll never forgive anyone that voted for Trump, I'll never forgive anybody that voted for Biden, whatever the your thing is, you're a fucking idiot. And you're hurting the country. Tim Kennedy put out a video yesterday that basically said, guys, why are we committing violence? No matter, we have these political disagreements, and if you're attacking somebody, if you're committing violence on someone, you're committing violence on another American, another person that is trying to solve problems, another person that has a family, another person that is going to work every day, another person that might be called on to defend the country in the event of a war. It was a good message. And you know what the responses were? There were two responses, basically, that were over and over again in the comments. And one of them was, Tim, you're a f***ing rhino. Where were you with Black Lives Matters? Even though the guy said over and over again that, like, violence during Black Lives Matters was a bad thing. And the other comments were, don't both sides this. You should be coming down on Trump. Like, guys, I'm just going to tell you, like, if where you're at is that for the rest of your life, you're going to call people that have a different political view the enemy, we are going to actually end up in civil war. And you're not going to like it. Because it's not us watching idiots storm the Capitol. It's you shooting your neighbor in the face or your family getting shot in the face. It's no more worried about what you're getting for Christmas, but worried about how you get food and water. Drinking from streams that people are also shitting in. It's the best country in the world. We have limitless opportunity. And we are committing violence over a guy that was born rich, has never not been rich, has never been accountable for any of his actions, banged porn stars, banged Playboy models, all while married, has been married 107 times or whatever, has absolutely no Christian beliefs. And I say that only because, not because I don't care what you believe, but I say that because that's been such an important thing for so long with so many voters, and this guy has none of that. And he told you to essentially go against the Constitution and overturn an election. And some of you f***ing did it. Some of you tried. It's f***ing disappointing. And I don't care what anybody thinks about what I said. I don't f***ing care.
The morning of the day the Capitol got stormed, Rudy Giuliani gave a speech saying that they needed more time, they, the administration, to show that the ballots and the machines that were taking the voting were fraudulent and corrupt. He said that if they were wrong, they'd be made fools of, but if they were right, that a lot of those other people were going to jail. He then proclaimed, "Let's have trial by combat." Now, I don't know at what point it had occurred to Rudy Giuliani that he has either the ability or the skill to fight and win in single combat, but I assume it happened sometime between nap time and dementia. I think Crenshaw could do some real damage, and I think Cory Booker would be a handful, but Rudy Giuliani, nah, he ain't cracking that pound-for-pound list. Anyways, that statement alone has been largely blamed in part with Trump for inciting the storming of the Capitol.
In simple terms, Jack Ma is the Jeff Bezos of China. He created Alibaba. He is one of the wealthiest people in China. Lately, Jack has been reaching out about regulations imposed by the Chinese government. So coincidentally, he's been reported missing since November. Over the past year, Jack Ma's holding companies have been making big waves in the tech industry. Word has it that CCP doesn't like it when companies are too independent of them. Surprising, I know. So they will essentially punish or neuter companies that they can't control and install their own leadership instead. Jinping gonna Jinping. For example, Jack Ma recently made a payment affiliate group, and its initial public offering, $37 billion. CCP stepped in last minute and canceled. Then it launched an antitrust probe into Alibaba. As of yesterday, it's been reported that the Chinese government has ordered media censorship on anything related to Jack Ma. Jack Ma who? So obviously, he's either kidnapped or dead.
On Christmas morning, a bomb was detonated in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. 63-year-old Anthony Warner, who died in the suicide explosion, set a bomb off in his camper, which he parked downtown. No other lives were lost in this explosion, and that's because he had a speaker going, warning people that there was a bomb in the camper and they needed to evacuate the area. Originally, his motive was unknown, as this was kind of a weird attack, but as the investigation went on, we got a better glimpse into the mind of Anthony. There's a laundry list of weird stuff on there, but kind of the main thing that really stuck out was that we've been taken over by transdimensional lizards, and they're injecting our DNA with molecular altering serums. Pretty standard stuff, really. 40 businesses were damaged in the explosion, including AT&T, which led to conspiracy theories that he wanted to take down the network, but it really just seemed like some crazy person with a homemade bomb. But what do I know? It's 2021.
The Pfizer vaccine distribution kicked off in December, but it's been slow from the beginning. So much that New York City Governor Cuomo threatened hospitals that if they didn't start vaccinating enough people, he would take the vaccines away from them. Additionally, the vaccine has been met with a lot of skepticism from hospital workers and the public alike. About half of all medical workers have declined to take the vaccine. Many hospital workers are citing that they don't know how the vaccine will affect their bodies. This, along with a myriad of conspiracy theories, everything from microchips to mind control to Satan's urine, have made vaccinations extremely difficult to disperse. Scientists have poured time and energy into a new mRNA delivery system to respond to the pandemic. The World Health Organization has authorized it for emergency distribution. However, they've expressly stated that this is not a cure and people could still contract and carry the coronavirus. This has led many to opt out of this vaccine and just hold off and see how this is going to affect people before they take it.
The $600 stimulus checks have reportedly been going out and have been hitting people's direct deposit. That's the good news. Now for the rest. The IRS has only gotten a small percentage of those checks out, and they have until January 15th to finish. If they don't get the people's checks to them in time, the IRS's owings to these people will increase dramatically, and a lien will be placed on the IRS's holdings, right? Yeah, I'm kidding. If the IRS doesn't get you your money, nothing will happen, and you'll have to file it as a credit in your taxes for 2020. But wait, when I don't pay the IRS on time, they increase what I owe them exponentially and work tirelessly to ruin my life, you say. So shouldn't that also apply to them, you ask? Well, they say unto you in the immortal words of Pauly Cicero, "F you, pay me."
Last week, Nancy Pelosi issued a set of legislative ethics reforms for Congress. In her own words, she said that this would make Congress more effective and transparent to the American public. So right off the bat, you know it's an avalanche of bullshit. The most viral change was the change of pronouns and familial relationships to gender neutral on the floor of the House. This became evident when House Representative Emanuel Cleaver ended the session with a prayer and ending with Amen, immediately followed by a woman. These are the people in charge of our country. But let's be honest, it's not really their biggest f***up.
Wisconsin pharmacist Stephen Brandberg admitted to spoiling batches of the new COVID-19 vaccine. When the hospital approached him and asked him if he had done it by accident, he admitted that he did it on purpose. This has added fuel to the fire for the conspiracy theories surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine and has put people towards different spectrums of why this happened. Some are saying that Stephen acted because he knew something about the vaccine that we don't know, that it's actually going to hurt us and wanted to step in front of that train for us. That's on the lighter side. Others are saying that he's basically John Connor and wants to prevent us from future mutations and overthrowing a future conspiracy that is going to take control of your minds. And who said being a pharmacist was boring?
England has officially gone back to lockdown this week. The government has stated that this is one final push and they think this will be the one to break all of these COVID issues and epidemics. You know what they say, third time's the charm. No, really, this time it's for real. The other attempts were just test runs. This is different. Britain has the second highest COVID positive test rates in Europe, besides Germany. As of Tuesday, they've been reporting at least 60,000 plus cases per day. A side note, the US hasn't seen less than 60,000 cases per day since October 25th of last year. A final shimmering light of hope has appeared at the end of this tunnel of desperation, the vaccine, which at this point 1.3 million doses have been administered in England. England, however, warns that this is still not enough to gain herd immunity.
Iran has been going full private pile lately. I'm just going to fire off the list. In the last month alone, they said that the Biden administration will bow to them. They've threatened to assassinate Trump. They've been overtly increasing their nuclear stockpile, and they seized a Korean tanker ship and are holding the crew hostage. So far, the U.S. has implemented a new barrage of sanctions aimed at decreasing the revenue that Iran can pull in. And while Trump's term winds down, the new president-elect hasn't said much on the subject, but one of his staffers did say right now he's just biding his time.
Saudi Arabia has lifted a 3-year diplomatic, trade, and travel embargo on Qatar. This agreement, brokered in part by the U.S., is meant to create a united front against the country of Iran. This should go well as long as the Saudis don't murder any more journalists.
The last of the Navy SEALs involved in the murder of a Green Beret has pled guilty to the lesser charges of involuntary manslaughter, hazing, and obstruction of justice. The heavier charges of felony murder and conspiracy have been dropped. Chief Petty Officer Tony Dodolph has pled guilty to those charges in what everyone's calling an opportunity for closure on the whole situation. The whole thing stinks to high hell, and our condolences go out to the Melga family.
Kenosha, Wisconsin is back in the news. County District Attorney Michael Gravely has declined to file charges against the officer that shot Jacob Blake. He cited that the evidence presented cannot disprove the officer's claim of self-defense. The video shows Blake resisting arrest and brandishing a knife, which he later admitted to. Given the decision to either let Blake drive off with his baby mama's child in the back seat, get stabbed, or defend himself, Gravely said that the state could not prove that the privilege of self-defense wasn't there. Blake's supporters criticized the event and said that their work is not over. The city braced for more protests, but only about 20 people showed up. One of the protesters blamed cold temperatures, which had recently dropped below freezing. Additionally, prosecutors have dropped the sexual assault charge, and Jacob Blake has pleaded guilty to 2 counts of disorderly conduct, for which he will spend 2 years in probation. Around the same time, Kyle Rittenhouse has also pled not guilty to any of the charges levied against him in the Kenosha shootings. We will continue to report on this case as it develops. Move over, Caesar and friends. From the rise of the Planet of the Apes, mankind has a new threat: squirrels. Since Thanksgiving, there have been a rise of squirrel-related jumpings in Queens, New York. And by squirrel-related jumpings, I mean squirrels have begun coordinated attacks against people. One family reported being attacked by the squirrels 20 times in the past 2 months. You'd think after the first 3 or 4 attacks, they would have taken the long way or found a new route to work, or maybe invested some anti-squirrel mace into the mix. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that other people were reporting these squirrel attacks, I would assume that this family had built their house on some ancient squirrel burial ground or something. It is unclear of the squirrels' motives. Are they after food, money, blood, global supremacy? All this begs the age-old question. Would you rather fight 100 squirrel-sized gorillas or one gorilla-sized squirrel?
And finally, in Florida Man news, the guy that stole the podium at the Capitol is none other than Florida man Adam Johnson, father of 5, who decided to go on a little road trip with his friends to the Capitol. He now faces felony charges of destruction of government property. But look at that face. Is that the face of a criminal? It is. It's absolutely the face of a criminal. But at least he's not getting capital punishment. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisano, and this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and I hope the rest of this year is better.
And I'm Matt Finney, I guess.
And I'm Thomas Hunt.
Hey, this is SEAC retired John Wayne Troxel. You're listening to WTF Nation Radio, the station of choice for all of the badass MFers on the planet.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Intergalactic horse, and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now they say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason than we wanted to. Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport, now sit back, relax, and watch us through the hubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planet America. Space Force, Space Force. We'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. We'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear our manly voices singing Space Force strong. Though critics say sound doesn't travel in space, to which we reply sound will do as we say. Oh, Captain Kirk, your achievements, though notable and fine, As far as we're concerned, this is Deep Space Mine. And big fans, but Lord Vader, step away from the lightsaber. There can only be one, of course. Space Force. Ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum dum dum dum, ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum dum 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 dum. Space Force, Space Force. We'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Space
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.